So one of the values that we talk about when we talk about kingdom relationships is this idea of honor. And this is actually, in many ways, one of the really foundational values that we work with in Chi Alpha, because we have found that from honor, so many other things flow. In fact, if you go into the area on this page or in this section of resources for small group leaders, where it starts to ask, okay, how do we start to impart these convictions into people's lives? Most of the conviction creation principles have a foundational premise of honor. And so much of what we do in imparting the kingdom of God starts with this idea, and it is very countercultural to our world. Eric, you seen honor in your life manifest in your ministry, or in what ways have you found that important or valuable?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember my first year leading small group. It was second semester, and I had just started hanging out with this guy named Erik, and I invited him over to this guy's house. And what's interesting is, like Nate said, honor's so countercultural. Typically, when you go to a house of guys, everybody's trying to be the best and macho and whatever. And I was sitting there with Erik on the couch, and this guy Brian, who lives at the house, comes up and he's like, "Hey, what's your name, man?" And he's like, "I'm Erik." And Brian's like, "Cool. Could you be our trophy friend and just sit on the couch and make us look good?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, Brian, what are you talking about?" And later, Erik told me that was the first time in years where he'd felt valued. And that's kind of a silly example, but just this culture of saying, "I'm gonna lift you up above myself." That's what the kingdom is all about, and it changes lives because of that.
I think that's one of the things that's interesting is when we honor, and when we talk about honor, there's a lot of ways we can honor. We can honor in expression, in our deeds, our actions, but most often when we talk about honor, we are talking about spoken honor, speaking truth, the kingdom of God over someone's life, and articulating in some way that value that they have. But I find that what's interesting is when we do that, not only are we honoring them or honoring someone else in a way of trying to give them a voice. When I honor my leader, I'm telling you should listen to my leader for this reason. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important for a ministry as it gets larger to be honoring to each other and to the leadership, because sometimes we don't have time or context to be able to always interact relationally with people. So say when you were preaching, last night, if people have honored you, then you have a voice in that crowd. If nobody's honored you, then you're just that stranger that's up front on Wednesday night. But at the same time, when you do that, I find that you actually are the one who also gets a stronger voice in someone's life. Because if I'm somebody who will look and see the best in someone else, then to that person I'm talking to, there's something in them that feels that this is a safe person, this is a valuable relationship, because maybe they would value me in that same way. And so when we honor, we actually grow our influence in someone's life, as well as helping others grow their influence as well. And so we see that this is so foundational and critical in such a countercultural way, the kingdom of God, imparting Christ's love in the world.